Welcome to History Decoded. Today we uncover one of the most pivotal clashes of the American Revolution, the Battle of Saratoga, a battle that turned the tides and reshaped the very future of America. In the autumn of 1777, the fields and forests around Saratoga, New York, were about to witness a showdown. It was here that the destiny of the American Revolution would be decided. At the time, the British Army had a plan, a brilliant one, on paper. They aimed to isolate New England, the heartland of the rebellion, by taking control of New York and cutting the colonies in two. General John Burgoyne was the mastermind. A well-respected British officer, he commanded a force of nearly 7,000 troops that included British regulars, Hessian mercenaries, loyalists, and Native American allies. His plan? March his forces southward from Canada through the Hudson Valley and join up with other British forces from the west and south to crush the American resistance in a single sweeping movement. However, as the campaign unfolded, problems arose. The harsh wilderness of upstate New York became an unexpected enemy for the British troops. Thick forests, swamps, and rivers slowed their progress to a crawl. Supplies ran low, morale dropped, and the march, once swift and disciplined, turned into a desperate crawl through unfamiliar and hostile terrain. Meanwhile, on the American side, the resistance forces were rallying. Under the command of General Horatio Gates and the bold, sometimes controversial Benedict Arnold, they dug in, preparing for the British onslaught. Though they were vastly outnumbered, they had something the British underestimated: an unwavering resolve to defend their fledgling republic. The first major engagement occurred on September 19, 1777, at Freeman's Farm. The two sides collided in a chaotic, brutal struggle that would last for hours. The British, relying on their superior training and discipline, initially pushed the American forces back. But the Americans were tenacious. They fought from behind trees and rocks, using guerrilla tactics learned from years of frontier warfare. Benedict Arnold played a critical role in this initial battle. Though officially under the command of Gates, Arnold was fearless, throwing himself into the thick of the fighting and inspiring his men to hold their ground. As the sun set, the battlefield lay littered with casualties. The British had won a tactical victory, but at a heavy cost. Days passed, and General Burgoyne waited in vain for reinforcements from the south. The forces he hoped would come to his aid were delayed, leaving him isolated. Meanwhile, the American army was growing in strength as more militia and regulars joined Gates's ranks. By early October, the Americans had nearly 15,000 men against Burgoyne's dwindling forces. Then came the decisive moment, the second battle, fought on October 7, 1777, at Bemis Heights. This time, the Americans struck with fury. Arnold, though officially relieved of command after a dispute with Gates, defied orders and charged into battle. Wounded in the leg, Arnold's heroics ignited the American ranks. They pushed the British back, capturing key positions and turning the tide in their favor. Burgoyne's forces were surrounded, exhausted, and out of options. On October 17, 1777, he was forced to surrender his entire army to the Americans. It was a staggering defeat for the British, a blow from which their campaign in the northern colonies would never fully recover. The Battle of Saratoga marked a turning point in the American Revolution. It convinced France to officially enter the war as an ally to the American cause, bringing desperately needed supplies, troops, and naval support. With French aid, the American forces were no longer fighting alone. They now had the backing of one of Europe's great powers. The significance of Saratoga was clear. The impossible dream of American independence was becoming a reality. The impact of Saratoga rippled across the Atlantic. France, long waiting for a decisive American victory, saw this as a signal to openly support the revolutionary cause. Benjamin Franklin, who had been tirelessly working to secure French assistance, finally had the proof he needed. By early 1778, France formally entered the war, transforming what had been a colonial rebellion into an international conflict. France's involvement changed the dynamics of the war, providing the Americans with supplies, experienced military leaders, and a powerful navy that could challenge British dominance on the seas. The strategic ramifications of the Battle of Saratoga extended even further. Spain and the Netherlands, both rivals of Britain, also offered support to the American cause in various ways, stretching British forces thin across multiple fronts. The war was no longer confined to the American colonies. It was now a global struggle, with Britain forced to defend its empire on several fronts. Back in America, the victory at Saratoga inspired hope and unity. The Continental Congress, emboldened by this triumph, worked to strengthen the Continental Army and secure more support from the states. Morale surged as stories of Saratoga spread, encouraging people who might have doubted the success of the revolution to rally to the cause. It was a psychological victory as much as a military one, proving that the American forces could stand toe-to-toe with the world's most formidable army. Yet the heroics of Saratoga were also marked by controversy. Benedict Arnold, whose courage and tactical acumen had played a pivotal role in the battle, found himself at odds with the Continental Congress and General Horatio Gates. Despite his bravery, Arnold felt unappreciated and overlooked, fueling a deep resentment that would ultimately lead him down a dark path. Within a few years, Arnold would famously betray the American cause, forever branding his name with infamy.